But we're happy to welcome in 13-year NBA vet Quentin Richardson. Q-Rich, thanks for joining us, man.
Guys. Glad to be here.
This is your first time on the show, but not your first time in the studio here, because this is where you guys record Yahoo Sports NBA show, The Bounce.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm definitely familiar with the space, but never been on here, so glad to have you.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. We got a number of different topics that we wanted to ask you. Really bounce around. You got it like that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a little lock it in. Now, this is very, very simple. We're going to throw a statement at you, Q-Rich, and if you agree with it, you hit the big red button and you lock it in. If not, don't press it. We'll talk it over. We'll move on to the next one. All right?
Yeah, I can do that.
So our first one here, you had the best NBA celebration of all time. Do you lock it in?
Yeah,
okay. You gotta lock this in. Now, for the young ones out there, explain how the fist, the double tap, whatever you want to call it, how did this originate?
So myself and Darius Miles, we go way back to being Clippers, and we were so young when we first came in the league. Darius was 18, I was 19, that we frequented the high school games a lot. So Westchester High School was one of the big teams in the area. They had Trevor Ariza, Bobby Brown, Hassan Adams, and guys that went on to play. A lot of guys played overseas, but they were the team that was right there, like our neighborhood team or whatever. So we would go to a lot of their games, and that was actually their celebration. So we started to go to their practices and stuff and hang out with them a little bit in practice. And they asked us, you guys should do it in the game and represent us. And, so I can't remember who did it first between Darius or I, but Darius says it was me. So I'll take that. Yeah. But, I definitely, that was definitely something that started out just representing those kids and trying to do something special. And it turned into a big deal. I mean, we really wanted it to make a video game because back then they had the Raise the Roof video game on NBA Live. So that was like the biggest as we thought it could get. We never thought it would have, the cultural impact and have kids across America and stuff like that doing it everywhere. So it turned out to be pretty cool.
Very cool. Sticking with those Clippers, your Clippers broke up too early. You going to lock that in?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the young Clippers.
Absolutely, man. We all felt, me and Darius talk about that all the time. He was the first one to go. He got traded after 2 years. And, for me, that was something where I felt like, initially when my agent, Jeff Wexler, first told me, I was like, yo, tell him to trade me too. Like, I don't know why they would break up, this young team that we got going like this and this thing that myself and Darius had. So that was, probably the first introduction to the business of basketball for us. So, that was definitely disappointing.
Speaking of young guys in the league, we'll throw this one at you because it's in the news right now. The NBA should lower the draft age to 18. Get rid of the one and done. Do you lock it in? You lock in that one in.
I felt that from the beginning. I never felt this should have been taken away. I felt, somewhat of the people who were doing the judging and who were doing the determining who should get picked and who should be able to do it. As far as jumping from the high school to the pros, that may need to be worked on, but I definitely believe that every year, it's always one or two of those guys that are good enough to come into the NBA and play right now. And in all the other sports, there's no age limit on it, so why would it be one in the NBA? So I always felt that way.
All right, let's take this next one off the court. You were the best actor in Van Wilder. In Van Wilder. You're better than Ryan Reynolds.
I will not lie.
Okay.
No way. Ryan Reynolds is absolutely amazing. But Darius even had a bigger role in the movie than I did after that. So, Oluwa had the one speaking role not the one. We had a couple, but he had the bigger roles. I remember he had the one little solo pregame take a dump little thing. Oluwa definitely had the more lines and stuff like that, but for us to be a part of that, man, you gotta understand, we were in heaven. We were just like, man, we got a trailer, we got this, we had little outfits. It was like every little part of it was just the hugest deal for us because we were so young.
That's funny. All right, next one here. Do you lock this in? You have the NBA's best Jordan collection. Hope you edited this one, Matt.
I can't lock that in.
Ooh, no.
I cannot lock that in. I can't. I always have to get a nod to Ray Allen.
Okay.
And I say that to say because of this. Anybody who knows the way it kind of goes with the Jordan, with any of the brands, actually, they're able to prepare more for you when they know you're going to go the distance. So, Ray was in that situation a lot more times than me. So, he has the fruits of those labors. Like, he has ring day editions that, he got some crazy, crazy heat in there. That's why he's about I think everybody, man. I think from Rip to Bibby to any of those guys, Derek Anderson, any of the older guys you could think of, we all had some of the craziest stuff because in the earlier days, the way they did the PEs, they don't do it that way anymore. So you saw, like, you know, when you talk about the guys like myself, Bibby, Rip Hamilton, yep. Ray Allen, and those older guys like that, we all had like crazy collections, and those are the guys that you see mostly on the internet. So I think it's kind of like what's your personal preference as far yep. as who has the best. But I think Ray definitely just stands out just from, I mean, come on, man, when he had some craziness for the finals and stuff.
Nice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like he had one game where he came out and he had to put both on because they were so fired. He didn't know which one to choose between. He said, I had to see him on my feet. Like, I never had that problem. Like,
you got a great collection. All right, final one here. Do you lock this in? You could beat Lee here in a 3-point contest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm glad. I mean, you're a former professional player. Lee is not. But we bring this up because you won a 3-point contest in 2005. Lee, every year at All-Star Weekend, is trying to get to 20. This year, he got to 19. That was your winning score in 2005 when you were with the Suns. And you guys both cleaned that final rack.
I like the runoff. Yeah, right there. I like that respect. I like that.
But what do you remember from that contest and going in it? You went in it a couple times, but you had a blast doing that?
Absolutely, man. I mean, I think the one I won, one of the best memories that probably nobody but probably that person and me knows was that I made my last 9.
Yeah, that's right.
So as I came around, like probably after I hit like the first 2 on the second to last rack. Yep. From that point on, I could hear Shaq. Shaq was right there baseline. I could hear him every time I shot. He Jakob. Jakob. And it was like, that was the one thing, like, cause you know, like in that competition, it's kind of like it's a zone in, you trying to go fast, but still go slow and take your time to make sure you get all your shots. But it was like, I could hear him.
The rhythm of the Jakob was
like I'm locking everything out, but I hear him clear as day, and I'll never forget that. I remember that walking off.